just bought a new whip. Spend a couple thousand just to cruise it. Shawty said she love me, but I swear she'll never prove it. I never tell her, but I put it in the music. Well, that's okay. All I wanna do is make the best of my whole day. Thank the Lord up above, get the cream on the side, make you laugh to knowing that's the stuff that I love. La da da da. We can be friends if you wanna. We could just talk if you wanna. We could hold hands if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do. We could just laugh if you wanna. Late nights on the stars if you wanna. We could just kiss if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do. It's like the story of my life. Best friends, but we rocking all the same things. Say you need me, but you really trying to change lanes. Well, I don't even care. In my life, I don't battle with no fear. Fighting dragons, always been a real one. Hate you saying showing love, you a real chameleon. Get the facts freaking straight, always on repeat. Like, we could be friends if you wanna. We could just talk if you wanna. We could hold hands if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do. We could just laugh if you wanna. Late nights on the stars if you wanna. We could just kiss if you wanna. Hey, tell me what you wanna do.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Happy to be here today. Happy to talk some fantasy football or not some fantasy football, depending on what you guys want. It is a Ask Me Anything. So if you guys want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, just throw it in the chat below. But we're going to be just hanging out today on stream for probably about an hour. We're going to be drafting some best ball teams over on Underdog Fantasy. And again, just answering some questions. So hopefully you guys are excited for this. Hopefully you're along for the ride. If you're in the chat, let me know. Excited to talk to you today. But yeah, man, let me share my screen with you guys, and I'll show you what we're doing here today. So this is the Underdog drafts that are available right now over in the tournament section of Underdog Fantasy. So what we are going to be doing today is going to be the little board. We might do one or two of these depending on how fast they go. But this is like early 2024 Underdog drafts. So we are drafting for the next season. There are rookies in here. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, all them guys, they're all in here today. So excited to do that. As you see, 150K in prizes. Hopefully we're one of the guys that wins something like that because it is 15,000 to first place. But yeah, man, I say really more than anything, why don't we just hop into this? I'll pull up this draft and we'll go into there. But before we get into the draft, I want to thank our sponsors of this video. So here we go. What's up, guys? Before we dive back into the action, let's take a moment to extend our gratitude to our fantastic sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy. Now listen up, because this Sunday's Super Bowl just got a whole lot more exciting. If you're itching to win some cash while enjoying the game, Underdog Fantasy has got you covered with an exclusive offer for new customers. Picture this, a 100% deposit match up to $100. Yes, you heard that right. They're practically doubling your money just for getting in on the action. But wait, there's more. Sign up now and you'll also snag a free square featuring none other than Patrick Mahomes, needing just one total yard, so it's a no-brainer. Signing up is a breeze. Simply use code LEAGUEFFB or click the Underdog Fantasy sign-up link in the description to claim your free Patrick Mahomes Pick'em Square and unlock that sweet 100% deposit match. Now here's the best part. Underdog Fantasy is available nationwide, so as long as you reside in one of the yellow states, you're good to go. So what are you waiting for? Seize this opportunity to score big with Underdog Fantasy. Remember to use code LEAGUEFFB when you sign up, and let's get back into the video. So yeah, man, very excited about our sponsors over at Underdog. Super Bowl, winning free money, man. Interested to hear who you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl. Let me know in the comments. Is it Kansas City or is it San Francisco who's winning the Super Bowl? I know who I'm putting my money on. It's hard for me to bet against the Chiefs. I think Pat Mahomes and them boys win it this weekend. But you see, we are here in this draft. So we ended up getting the 6th pick in the draft. So the 106, that's where we're going to be playing from. But yeah, man, let's really see what's going to happen. I wanted to do a draft strategy in this one where I wanted to attack wide receivers early on, and just to give you guys an idea of what the rosters look like. We are going to be playing where is it? One quarterback, two running backs. I'm actually right in the way of this, so let me take myself off the screen. It is going to be one. Damn, that's still in the way. My bad. It's going to be one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, one tight end, one flex, and 12 bench. So that is what we're looking for today. That is what we're going to be drafting from. So that is where we're at. Now, with that being said, like I said, we're from the 106, so I'm going to be attacking the running back a little bit late. Probably the quarterback's late. I'm going to take a lot of shots on the quarterbacks here, and we'll just go from there. So let me know, how's your guys' day going? Interested to get through this with you guys today. So first and foremost, the first guy that I want to really be taking a shot on here is, you see the ADPs of these wide receivers, and we are going to be sticking here at the wide receivers. You got the Amon-Ra St. Browns, the Puka Nakuas, Garrett Wilsons, AJ Browns, all of these guys. There's a guy who balled out this year. I'm going to be taking Amon-Ra St. Brown. You see he's had 24, or these are the last couple games. He had 1,500 yards this year, 10 touchdowns. I'm going to be taking Amon-Ra, and he's going to be starting off our build here with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So moving on from that, you see up here Christian McCaffrey, the 101, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. And then after our pick, we had a couple running backs, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson. And really what I wanted to do was really get after it early. You see our next pick is 9 picks away. Our next pick is going to be from this 2-7. So we are going to be looking at roughly some of these guys in ADP: Marvin Harrison, Josh Allen, Rashee Rice, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Saquon, Stephon. Those are kind of the guys that we're looking at. So for me, I'm going to keep sticking at that wide receiver. You see it's a strong wide receiver tier. I do think that a guy like Stephon Diggs is pretty undervalued right now because he had a bad end of the year. I think people are pretty disappointed with Stephon Diggs. I think he's still going to be great next year, so I don't think we really need to worry about that. You see after those running backs up here, we had a Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs, A.J. Brown, Kyron Williams. These are the guys coming off the board. And then we start into the second round with a Rashee Rice. And then we're going to see what else kind of happens and unfolds here. But I think for me, man, like the guys that I really would be looking at here at this next pick are going to be a Brandon Ayuk, are going to be a Stephon Diggs. That's probably where I'm at with this. So if I can get one of those, I'm more than happy. You see Rashee Rice, Devon Achane, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor. These are the guys coming off the board. So let's see what happens for us. We still have a DJ Moore up there. He's interesting, but it'll be interesting to see what they do at the quarterback position. You know, all the rumors of a Caleb Williams or whatever that happens. He's still on the board for us. But again, I just think Stephon Diggs is too undervalued right now. So we are going to go with Stephon and Amon-Ra St. Brown to start off this build for us. And that's really a really good core. I feel like both of these guys, and I know some people are probably going to think that I sound crazy, but I think both of these guys, Stephon included, have top 5 upside, and we just got him in the second round, pick 19. So anytime I can get a wide receiver who has that much upside there in the second round, I'm going to keep doing that. And Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, they're all off the board. Our next pick here is going to be 30. So we are looking kind of still in this range of good wide receivers. I just don't feel like we need to reach at a running back yet. So I'm just going to keep going. I just don't love the ETN, the Pacheco. I think there's so much value in those middle to late rounds at the running back position, and we can kind of shotgun approach that running back position down there too, that we're going to have options. But let's keep going at the wide receivers while we have them, because these are some of the elite guys in the NFL. You see Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the first rookies off the board. In fact, the first rookie off the board. He goes above Brandon Ayuk. He goes above DJ Moore. I think that's probably a little bit high right now. But you know, you love the upside of a guy like that. Chris Olave comes off the board. And as we get closer to our pick, I think a Michael Pittman Jr. is awesome. I think even a guy like a Jalen Waddle would be interesting. A guy like maybe a Devontae Smith. Just and I guess the Devontae Smith, we could kind of talk about the AJ Brown. Like, is AJ Brown going to be back in Philly? I think probably. I don't see why they would end up moving on from him. I know he's said some things about being unhappy, but I just don't know what incentive the Eagles have to move on from him. So that could be a move that we make. But I think Michael Pittman Jr., assuming he doesn't get picked right here, that feels really good. I even like a Tank Dell here if we can get a Tank Dell. So we'll just wait on HVSU. But you see, DJ Moore comes off the board, Debo Samuel, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Travis Etienne, and then Isaiah Pacheco off the board. So I personally like Michael Pittman Jr. more than Tank Dell. So he is going to be my number one. I am going to take Pittman here. And you see, we have the Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Stephon Diggs, the Michael Pittman Jr.'s. So I'm feeling really good about our wide receiver room here. I think we can add another one or two onto this and keep tacking on. Keep in mind, we did say that this was a 12. Let's see, it's 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 20 rounds. So we do have 20 rounds here. I think you come away with 4 quarterbacks, maybe 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, and then fill the rest out with running backs and wide receivers. I feel like that's the best strategy right now. Last year, a couple of these underdog drafts that I did when we were taking running backs and when we were taking quarterbacks and tight ends late, we had some pretty good success there. Got a couple Sam Laportas, a couple Brock Purdy's, things like that overperform or break out, and then you get a lot of value back there at the back half. So I just kind of like that strategy. I feel like it's the most value. And I feel like with the wide receivers, it's the easiest to project those guys this early in the offseason. We know that Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be good. But there could be a situation like a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, who you saw go about a round ago. Like Isaiah Pacheco, maybe the Kansas City Chiefs add another guy in the backfield. Not likely, but we know with the running back position that is something that can always happen. I just think it's harder to project those. So really, I think that's the most interesting thing about this. So you see, let's catch up from where we were at. We took Michael Pittman Jr., then we had Rachaad White, Tank Dell, Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hurts, Keenan Allen, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, and Lamar Jackson. So we're just a couple picks away. We still have Devontae Smith on the board. We have a Drake London on the board, a Zay Flowers, a T. Higgins. All of these guys feel great to me right now. And we're going to have our choice at one of them. So I think for me, I'm just going to go with a guy like Devontae Smith. We liked him at our last potential pick. He was an option. We're going to get him here. Just keep pairing that up. I mean, we got some elite wide receivers on this team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith. But what I want to start doing is I want to start looking at, and I'll keep these guys favorited. I don't know why we unfavored them. But let's start looking at the running backs because I want to kind of see what we have here at this position. We've kind of had, I think, probably 12-ish running backs come off the board. We still have guys down here. I mean, hell, you could take a shot on a guy like Joe Mixon, James Conner, and then just load up on these guys, right? Javonte, DeAndre Swift. And these guys are going in like ADPs of 108 to, I don't know, probably in that 7th round. So 72. That's kind of what we're looking at here. So we could get a little bit more aggressive with these wide receivers. I mean, our next pick is going to be 54. The next pick after that is going to be 67, and then we will be there at 78. So I think we could go 1 or 2 more wide receivers and keep it really aggressive there. Or we could go 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and then kind of just blend it that way. But I think I might go really aggressive at the wide receivers, or we could even take a shot at one of these elite tight ends, but I don't even know if we want to do that. There's still a lot of good quarterbacks on the board. We look at some of these quarterbacks here, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Dak Prescott. I think really there's just too much value down there at these other positions that maybe we just keep shooting at the wide receiver. I just feel like that's the best thing for us to do. But let's kind of keep going from where we last saw. It was Devontae Smith for us, Amari Cooper off the board, T. Higgins. He's going to be interesting to see what happens with him this offseason. Travis Kelce, James Cook, CJ Stroud, and then Zay Flowers off the board. So we're up in a couple picks. Just looking at this board, I'm looking for guys who can kind of outperform ADPs. Probably somebody who can outperform an ADP is a guy like Terry McLaurin. What if the Washington Commanders get a guy like Caleb Williams? Do you think Terry McLaurin can outperform the ADP? I think that's a shot. Romo Dunze, he has upside. Does he come out and have a really good rookie year? Potentially. You could even have a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba who could have a breakout year in 2024. But again, we don't love his quarterback situation with Geno Smith. So there's a couple different ways we could go with this, but that's where I think we should continue adding. I think this will probably be the last round that we do that, though, because we are pretty deep at this wide receiver position right now. But you see Trey McBride off the board, Kenneth Walker, Mark Andrews. Some of these elite tight ends are coming off the board now. So when we look at the tight ends, the next one is George Kittle. We probably will want to take a shot at one of those guys. But I think for me, we have a lot of safety here. We have a lot of safety in Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith. So let's take an upside shot in a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Let's see what Jackson Smith can do this year and see if he can break out for this team. But I'm feeling really good about that right now. Now, you see, we did have Jordan Addison off the board, but I want to start looking at some of these other positions. We have 5 wide receivers now. We want to end up, we're a fourth of the way through the draft. We want to add probably 3 or 4 QBs, 3 tight ends, just to kind of navigate some of the injury risk as well. But I'm looking at these positions. I'm even going to look at this running back because maybe this is where we take our first guy here, an upside guy like Tajay Spears. That would be something we could do. Even if we wanted to get into one of these elite tight ends, we could take a guy like Dalton Kincaid, or we could take a guy like George Kittle, keep one of those guys. That's something we could do. But I do think we need to go and get one more of these other positions and kind of keep adding to that. So with that being said, we had Jaden Reed off the board after Jordan Addison. We had Josh Jacobs off the board, Romo Dunze off the board, Terry McLaurin, a couple of those guys that we were looking at. You see our next pick is 67. So when we look at all the ADPs together, some of the potential picks could be that Dalton Kincaid, could be that Tajay Spears. I think those are probably upside picks that we should be looking at. Potentially a Nick Chubb. I think he's probably undervalued right now because of the injury last year, and people are nervous about that. We could even have a guy like probably just keep it in there. One of those 3. If we can take one of those 3, and you see Nick Chubb comes off the board. So people are starting to get into that other tier of of running backs. So if we can get a Kincaid or a Tajay Spears, that's what I would like to do here with this next pick and keep that moving just with some of the upside that we have here at this position. By the way, if you guys have not checked out some of the other content on this channel, I strongly suggest you go check out some of the other content. We are primarily a Dynasty Fantasy Football channel. So if you guys like Dynasty Fantasy Football, watch that over here on this channel. We do best ball drafts from time to time because I just love drafting on these Underdog best ball drafts. But that is not the main form of content on this channel. It is Dynasty Fantasy Football. So if you like Dynasty, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Additionally, go check out BDGE Dynasty Fantasy Football. I do content on there about 3 times a week now. So very excited to see that continue growing. This is our first week of doing content over there at the BDGE Dynasty channel. So go check that out. Also, check out some of my boys over there, Nick, Adam, all of those guys. So do me a favor and do that. But here we are. We're on the board. I want to go with a Dalton Kincaid. I think that is the pick that we'll take here at the tight end position. And I feel good about that. Now we can kind of leave the other 2 or 3 tight ends that we take for later in this draft. So I don't feel like we need to take another one of these right away. If at our next pick, we can go ahead and get a guy like, we're probably not going to be able to get a Tajay Spears. I think he's going to go here pretty quickly. But pick 78, that's our next one. I think a Joe Mixon would be great. I think even getting a guy like Tony Pollard would potentially be decent. A guy like David Montgomery, if we could get him, James Conner. These are guys that I'm looking at there because we do need to start adding some of these running backs here on this team if we want to start filling out this roster. So after we picked Dalton Kincaid, Chris Godwin, Joe Burrow come off the board, but I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments about the Super Bowl. Like I said, it is Super Bowl week, and we are getting this rematch of the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. So interested to hear who you guys are going to pick in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win this Super Bowl? And more than anything, if you're playing or planning on trying to win a little bit of money on the Super Bowl, I do got something for you guys. So check out our sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy. They got something good for you. I'll show you guys right now. What's up, guys? Before we dive back into the action, let's take a moment to extend our gratitude to our fantastic sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy. Now listen up, because this Sunday's Super Bowl just got a whole lot more exciting. If you're itching to win some cash while enjoying the game, Underdog Fantasy has got you covered with an exclusive offer for new customers. Picture this, a 100% deposit match up to $100. Yes, you heard that right. They're practically doubling your money just for getting in on the action. But wait, there's more. Sign up now and you'll also snag a free square featuring none other than Patrick Mahomes, needing just 1 total yard. So it's a no-brainer. Signing up is a breeze. Simply use code League FFB or click the Underdog Fantasy sign-up link in the description to claim your free Patrick Mahomes Pick'em Square and unlock that sweet 100% deposit match. Now here's the best part. Underdog Fantasy is available nationwide, so as long as you reside in one of the yellow states, you're good to go. So what are you waiting for? Seize this opportunity to score big with Underdog Fantasy. Remember to use code LeagueFFB when you sign up, and let's get back into the video. So just to give you guys a recap since our little break there, and make sure you guys are using code LeagueFFB when you guys sign up over on Underdog Fantasy. Would appreciate it a lot. It does directly support this channel, so I appreciate each and every one of you guys that signs up, and hopefully it's a good enough deal for you guys that you guys feel like you can win some money off of that. But we did have Ramondre Stevenson, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, George Kittle, David Montgomery, Justin Fields, Christian Kirk, Joe Mixon off the board. So it is our pick right here. We're up on the clock. Tajay Spears fell. We're going to take the upside of a guy like Tajay Spears. So he is going to be our first running back on this roster. We have Tajay Spears, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Dalton Kincaid. And now that we've kind of added a starter at most of these positions, I still think we're very deep at the quarterback position. Like, I'd feel more than comfortable having guys like, I mean, really, as my quarterback one, like, I'd feel more than comfortable just like shotgun and approaching it here at the back. Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, like getting a bunch of those guys, 3 or 4 of them, and then just really relying on them. I feel like that's kind of what I would rather do because it is only a 1 quarterback. It's 4-point passing touchdown. Like, it's not like quarterbacks are crazy valuable in this type of format. So I would like to kind of punt that quarterback position a little bit more, keep getting value here at the wide receiver, running back, maybe even the tight end. What do the tight ends look like right now? We got Evan Engram, David Njoku, Jake Ferguson. Like, we're really good at the tight ends. We probably don't need to go get another one until we get into this like Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz, Pat Freiermuth tier. That's probably when I'd go get another one. And those guys are all in that like 100 to 140. So our next one's going to be 91. Probably in the next 5 rounds, we take another tight end. And we do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 of our positions filled right now. So we have 13 more rounds to kind of fill out the depth. We're going to keep that going. Guys like Brian Thomas Jr. coming off the board, Brock Bowers, Christian Watson, David Njoku, Evan Engram, again, those tight ends that we were looking at, all of these guys off the board. So they are starting to kind of come off the board a little bit more. But I am liking our build so far. I kind of want to know what your guys' opinions are of the build up to this point. Do you like the wide receiver heavy builds? Does punting the running back this far make you guys nervous in these types of drafts? What is your favorite type of draft strategy that you guys use here on Underdog Fantasy? Or if you guys have never played on Underdog Fantasy, what do you guys want to know, or what do you guys want to learn about best ball as a game mode to kind of play in fantasy football that would make you interested in playing in a league like that. Would love to kind of help you guys out and teach you how to play some best ball and get you excited about it, because I do think it's super fun to play. I do drafts like this throughout the entirety of the offseason. Like, I'm doing a whole bunch of these. I think last year I was in hundreds and hundreds of best ball drafts. This year I'm probably going to max enter a lot of these tournaments that Underdog is doing, especially them being a sponsor of the show and things like that. Like, definitely want to be under or max entering those Underdog drafts. But I want to know more than anything, how do you guys feel about Tajay Spears? Because if you have been tapped into the channel, if you've watched a lot of our content, I'm a big Tajay Spears guy. I've been a big Tajay Spears fan for the last year and a half, ever since I started scouting him coming out of Tulane. I think he's super, super, super electric at the wide receiver position. I mean, at the running back position. I'm just very excited for him this year. Do you guys think that this could be the breakout year for Tajay Spears? I think it could be. I think he has top 12 running back potential in a backfield like this without Derrick Henry. But you see, we are about to be back up on the clock. It is really hard for me not to take a guy like Kyler Murray. I think I want to grab a Kyler Murray right now and just get one of those elite quarterbacks. But I probably shouldn't. Because if we're going quarterback by committee, it's probably better to just go the committee approach down to the back half. So we'll keep taking shots on these running backs. I think a guy like Javonte Williams is interesting. He's probably my pick here. And we'll take Javonte Williams. I think James Conner would have been my pick had he fell. You see, I had him start over here on the side in the queue, but he didn't fall. So we will go with a guy like Javonte Williams. But Tajay feels good. Not going to say it feels bad. Let's see. We haven't really been keeping up with this draft. So since Njoku Ingram, we had Josh Downs, DeAndre Hopkins, Najee Harris, Justin Herbert, James Conner, Jordan Love, Raheem Mostert. I think that's probably a little high on Mostert. He is getting up there in age. It feels like he's getting a little bit risky, but he did just come off of a hell of a year. So that's hard to argue, the production that he gave us this year, but I just don't know how reliable that production is going to be for a guy like Raheem Mostert. And so our next pick is going to be 102. And sorry, hopefully it didn't make a little loud noise. I just bumped my mic. But our next pick is the 102. Kyler Murray just off the board. It would have been good to get Kyler back there, but we have 8 of our positions filled. I do want 3 tight ends at minimum. So that's 2 positions probably that need to be filled. I want 3 quarterbacks at minimum. So that's 5 more positions that need to be filled. So that's going to leave us with 13 positions there, which means we can take about 4 or 5 more running backs, 1 or 2 more wide receivers, and then we can fill everything out. So it's not a bad approach. I think we probably just keep tapping this running back position. That's probably where we just stay right now. See what we can get down here. Like I said, we're up in a couple picks. Guys like DeAndre Swift came off the board, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Cortland Sutton, Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson. Maybe here's where we take a guy like Jaylen Warren. We know Jaylen Warren is going to have a role in that offense, so maybe we just go Jaylen Warren here, kind of keep going with that approach. I think guys like Zamir White is interesting. It is getting a little bit grim here at the running back, but that's what this running back by committee approach is. It's not sexy. It's scary. It's risky, but you hope that obviously we're not praying, guys get hurt. That's not what we are rooting for, but we know that the running back injuries happen often in the NFL. These are things that it's like death and taxes, right? Like running back injuries happen. So you want those handcuffs, the high value handcuffs that you think could step in and kind of give you value from a week to week basis. Like, for example, Zach Charbonnet Kenneth Walker goes down, Charbonnet is going to be valuable. So, having him in a role like this is probably good. A guy like Zamir White, Josh Jacobs is a free agent. If Josh Jacobs leaves in free agency, is Zamir White the starter? Well, there's a chance that he's going to be a starter there. And if not, is he going to just have a role in the offense? It's probably likely. So getting guys like that, guys like Jerome Ford, who last year when Nick Chubb went down, Jerome Ford was a running back too, probably for your rosters for the rest of the year. These are the types of players that we're looking for in this kind of approach. And then maybe take a shot on, rookies. Braylon Allen. Does Braylon Allen fall into a situation where he could be a starter? Blake Corum, is he a situation where he could, have a role day one? Tyler Algiers, if Bijan gets hurt. Elijah Mitchell, if Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. Like, these are all the guys we're looking for. And so that's kind of what we're going to keep doing. I think we're just going to keep hammering away at this running back position for a little bit, because the wide receivers, quite frankly, we're very strong at the wide receiver position right now. And then as you get deeper, you throw in guys like Thielens or Michael Wilson's, Elijah Moore's. Yeah, you can plug them in. They can get you some points, but they're probably not winning you a week. But these running backs here, they can win you a week if they become a starter in this running back by committee. So since Jaylen Warren came off the board, Romeo Doubs, Dallas Goedert, Deontay Johnson, Hollywood Brown, Jacoby Myers, Chase Brown, Matthew Stafford, and we are up in 5 picks. I think for me right now, a guy that I would like to potentially take is a Charbonnet. I would potentially like to take a Singletary. I think he's interesting. He's a free agent, so he put together a decent year. Maybe he goes somewhere where he can have a job. You see Matt Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, Caleb Williams off the board. Ty Chandler, he had a good back half of the year. I think the Minnesota Vikings add a running back this offseason, but he put together a decent back half of the season when they kind of transitioned from Alexander Madison over to Ty Chandler. And if they go to a guy like Ty Chandler, maybe he at least has a role in the offense is kind of the idea here. Even a Roschon Johnson, something like that. So I think for me, Devin Singletary is actually Zach Charbonnet is probably the pick. But after that, we'll take another shot later. But I really do want Zach Charbonnet because I think he has the highest ceiling if there was a Kenneth Walker injury. And we know he had a role with Kenneth Walker in the lineup this year. So he was still at least usable. And so we will take Zach Charbonnet. Boom. And let's kind of look at what Zach Charbonnet did this year. Can I not click him after? Let's see where we're at. No, I can't click on him after we get to that point. So we should have clicked on him before. It's fine. But Tajay Spears, Javonte Williams, Jaylen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, that's kind of what we're building at the running back room. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Devontae Smith, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Dalton Kincaid. So part of me feels like looking at this roster, we have 2 Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we can't stack anything with Josh Allen. Josh Allen was taken earlier. We have 2 Seattle Seahawks. If we're going the committee approach, maybe you throw a Geno Smith in there and you get the stack some weeks. There's a couple different things we could do, man. We just got to keep being creative with it. But I want to look at the quarterbacks. I think right now is probably where we kind of start looking at some of these guys and take a couple of them. Our tight ends right now, we are getting in that range where I said I wanted to grab another one. So maybe we're just going to go back and forth with it. We might go, a running back. If the next pick, any of these guys are here, Musgrave, a Singletary, a Chandler, a White, a Roschon, a Singletary. If any of those guys are there at our next pick, we'll probably take one of them. And then I want to be looking at some of these quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels has some high upside. Guys like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, these are guys that we could take. Baker Mayfield's. And then at the tight end position, we're looking at, again, the Luke Musgraves, the Dalton Schultz, and the Pat Freiermuths. That's kind of where we're at right now. So we've put together a nice little mix of players. Our wide receivers, obviously, they're getting slimmer. Sorry, I just unchecked everything. They're being a little bit slimmer. Jerry Jeudy right down here, it feels like a pretty damn good value. But even then, look, if we scroll a little bit later, Zay Jones probably has some good weeks. Tyler Boyd probably has some decent weeks. You can shoot upside in guys like, Malachi Corley, Roman Wilson, rookies like that, maybe. Just keeping it pushing, man. And so Since our last pick, we went Charbonnet. Then there was the Khalil Shakir. There was the Troy Franklins, the Jared Goffs, the Keon Colemans, the Tyler Lockett, Devin Singletary, Trey Benson. So that's what we've had come off the board. And honestly, I feel like the upside of a guy like Jaden Daniels is really high. And we've had a couple of these running backs that we wanted, Ty Chandler, Devin Singletary, come off the board. I think unless it's Zamir White. If Zamir White is not picked right here, we'll probably go Jaden Daniels next. Dalton Schultz. So we'll take Zamir White, shoot the upside there. So hopefully, for the sake of this build, Josh Jacobs leaves in free agency. Zamir White becomes the starter there. Then we have Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams, Tajay Spears. But now our next pick, 12 picks away, it is going to be the 139. I doubt we can get Jaden Daniels. There's almost no way that he falls. But if he does, he's most definitely our pick down there. And as I say that, see, he goes right away. So that is the risk of having guys with high upside down this far. I think Jerry Jeudy actually is a pretty damn good pick down here as well. Somebody that I'd be looking at. Guys like Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks, they all have good upside. Dontavion Wicks, probably good upside down here. I love Ladd McConkey. Would love to take a shot on him as a prospect. There's lots of stuff, man. There's so much talent in the NFL, you can't even complain. But you see, we have 11 rounds filled out. We still need 3 quarterbacks, so that's 14 rounds accounted for. 2 more tight ends at least. I can't do math, man. 16 rounds accounted for, so we have 4 more rounds outside of that to go running back, wide receiver. And you see Roschon off the board, Luke Musgrave off the board, Blake Corum off the board, Rashid Shaheed, shout out Weber State Wildcats. Fellow alumni, Rashid Shaheed from Weber State, Braylon Allen, and then we're getting back over here into this 12th round with Darren Waller. So lots of stuff to look at. I think we got to take our first quarterback. And to me, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, those are the guys off the board that scream just solid floor quarterbacks that we can just rely on as our guys. So being able to get 2 of those would be ideal. And then I like the high upsides of guys like Daniel Jones. And I know I say high upside and Daniel Jones in the same sentence, but they paid him a contract, man. They paid him a big contract last offseason. It's really not likely that they go a different direction from Daniel Jones, at least this year. And he has rushing upside. Maybe they can fix it with Daniel Jones. It's a big maybe, but we're taking shots. So that's what we're doing down here. We had Ladd McConkey. I just talked about how much I liked Ladd. He comes off the board. Michael Wilson off the board. Jerry Jeudy off the board. We're up in 2 picks. We still got our guys, Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers down there. I would rather go Kirk Cousins than Aaron Rodgers. We've just seen Kirk Cousins finish as a top 12 fantasy QB since like 2020. So I feel like if we can get low-end QB1 numbers out of Kirk Cousins, pair him with Justin Jefferson, he's a free agent, but I'm betting that they re-sign him. I don't know why they would let him walk unless they make a trade up. And if they make a trade up, they're going to be going to get a guy like Drake May or something like that. That'll be really fun for the organization. But I just don't know if there's the teams up there, the New England Patriots, the Washington Commanders. I don't know why they would trade back. Like they need quarterbacks more than the Minnesota Vikings need quarterbacks. So I don't know why they would trade back there. But you see, we take Kirk Cousins. We have Tajay, Javonte, Jalen, Charbonnet, Zamir, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman, Devontae, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Dalton Kincaid. So we're just going to keep it going. We're 9 picks away. If we can get a Deshaun Watson, a Baker Mayfield, I don't even think we need to go back and get one of these guys right away. There's still guys we can get a little bit later. I think if we go right back to the running backs, just keep it pushing, or maybe even go take a tight end. Who are the tight ends on the board? K-Dot and Michael Mayer. We're getting a little bit slimmer there. Maybe a guy like Isaiah Likely, Tucker Kraft, Hunter Henry. These are guys that could have some value. Probably take another tight end. That's probably what we should do. Adonai Mitchell came off the board before us. Pat Fryermuth. Jaleel McLaughlin. That's probably a really good value on Jaleel. Jonathan Brooks. I think tight end is probably where we're weakest at right now. I think a Mayer breakout could be likely. Isaiah Likely could be likely. Tucker Kraft. I think these are guys that I'm looking at right now that I would want a piece of. And then as we get later into the draft, like getting guys like Dolchich, Brevin Jordan, things like that, taking those shots, that's probably ideal as well. But we're going to have to rely on that Kincaid breakout. I think that's what we need to happen for us to get consistent play out of our tight end. And I think we can get consistent play out of Dalton Kincaid. Aaron Rodgers comes off the board. Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks off the board before that. We are now 5 picks away. And if we go like a Dontavion Wicks in a little bit, I don't know if he makes it that far. He's already kind of being slept on right now in this draft, so he could be picked any second. But I'm also looking at potential stacks with Kirk Cousins. I don't know where we could find any of those. Maybe a KJ Osborne later. That could be something that we do. A Josh Oliver, if we know TJ Hawkinson might miss the first half of the season. If he misses the first half, is Josh Oliver the guy? I don't know. Maybe. I feel like he's more of a run blocker and a pass blocker at the tight end position, but maybe you take a guy like him. Khalil Herbert off the board. That's probably a decent value. Like I said, with Wicks, as soon as I said he's being slept on, he gets drafted. So that's something. That's that. Jerome Ford off the board. Look, man, it's also probably a good value right now on Kendre Miller. But I'm probably gonna stick with the Michael Mayer pick. I think he could have a good year too in Las Vegas, especially if they get a quarterback upgrade. So Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer, probably take 1 or 2 more tight ends just to fill that out. But we are now 13 rounds in. We have 7 left to go. 4 left if you count, the ones that we want to go back and get the quarterback and the tight end. I think right now what we should be looking at is probably everything. I don't think there's anything that we shouldn't be looking at right now. We could go pretty much any direction, another running back, another wide receiver. We could go, our QB2 at this point. If we wanted to go get like a Drake May as like an upside play, Deshaun Watson maybe even, like we could take a shot on one of those guys. We are a little bit away, 10 picks. So really our next pick is 163. So we should probably be looking more so around this range. That would be like the Isaiah Likely. A Demario Douglas is sneaky down here. We could go with the Daniel Jones, Geno Smith pick, even though we should be right in that range for the next one there. But it is getting slimmer at the quarterback position. So maybe we need to take one of those guys. But we'll kind of play it by ear there, depending on what happens. Tucker Kraft off the board. I mean, who just came off the board? Who did we just have off? Isaiah Likely off the board. So now the only one left on our watch list at the tight end position is Tucker Kraft, but we just grabbed Michael Mayer, so I'm not too worried about that. Kendre Miller came off the board right after we talked about it. Demario Douglas off the board right after I talked about him. Yeah, this is where you start taking those upside shots, man. You need to get those guys that can pop off, because if you get one of these guys to hit and your, core that you draft stays healthy, the Amon-Ra's, the Stephon Diggs, because we know these guys are going to be good if they're healthy for the most part, right? So if you can get one of these late guys to pop off as Amir, some of these guys like Zach Moss, like if you got Zach Moss down here last year, you scored a lot of fantasy points with Zach Moss last season. But again, it's because Jonathan Taylor was out. So kind of just keeping it here. We're looking at some of these upside picks. We do have Deshaun Watson, who is on the board still. He's interesting. Drake May too. I think those are some very high upside picks. probably end up taking one of them. Yeah, that's most likely what I'm doing here. So let's see, Zach Moss, Keaton Mitchell. We'll see what Del Rey does. But after him, we're gonna take whoever out of these two. I think I'm gonna go Drake May. Yeah, well, he took Deshaun Watson, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going Drake May. So Kirk Cousins, Drake May. It's tough to bank on the rookie quarterback, but if he hits, it's very nice. I mean, if you got Justin Herbert his rookie year, or you got CJ Stroud his rookie year, think of what that turned into for you if you're doing this last year or years and years ago with Justin Herbert, I guess at this point. But feels like Justin Herbert's been in the league for forever, but he's still pretty damn young. But yeah, Daniel Jones came off the board. So now that we have two quarterbacks, I feel fine there. We could probably wait a round or two. We're most likely going to have to go back to this running back wide receiver. I think that's where we're going to have to stick around. I think Algier is a good handcuff. Elijah Mitchell, a handcuff. Guys like Damian Pierce, Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, this damn low. It feels gross, but why not, right? Guys like that. Wan'Dale Robinson's a good wide receiver pick. Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks could have some upside if they get some things figured out there for him. I think we got some upside picks here. I think we go 1-2 back to back with the running back wide receiver. Because we have 6 more rounds left. I think we'll just keep it pushing. You see Tyler Algier, as soon as I'm listing all these guys, Audric Estime, I think is how you say his last name, comes off the board out of Notre Dame. Tyler Algier, Wan'Dale Robinson, Hunter Henry, Elijah Mitchell, Treylon Burks, Jalen Polk. And now we're just a few picks away. And I see we got a comment in here. Let's see. Frank, appreciate you being here, man. He says, get Tank Dell. He's wide receiver 9 in my rankings. Don't pass him up for these ancient players. That's going to bust up your lineup. Yeah, man. I mean, we kind of made the decision early on between, I think it was Michael Pittman Jr. and Tank Dell. That's kind of where we were looking at him in these top 3 rounds. But we ended up starting our draft off pretty strong with wide receivers. We went Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr. So that's kind of where we went. But wide receiver 9 is pretty high in your rankings. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But I don't hate it. We had Will Levis, Bryce Young come off the board. So are we getting slim at the quarterback position? We kind of are getting slim, but I do think we need to stick here. Let's go Antonio Gibson at the running back position. We'll add another one here. Keep that moving. But I think actually now that we've seen a couple of these quarterbacks come off the board, we had Jones, Levis, Young, all of them come off the board since our last pick. We probably need to go back and grab one more. I agree, Frank. But let's see, man. It's funny because as we get into these later rounds, these drafts start to slow down a lot. It's like people don't care about picking the late round guys. Looking at the tight end position too, Tucker Kraft's still there. Could get a Chigakonkwo, a Noah Fant. Like, feel fine about those guys, I think. So let's look at these QBs. Guys like Geno, Carr, Russ, those are probably picks that we're making. I think if we could get one or two of those guys, we'll have our committee approach at the quarterback position finished down here. Probably only need to get, yeah, I'd say I want to take Russ. I think for the most part, I think Russ has some upside. He was playing well this year for the most part, and it just seemed like Denver didn't want him to be the quarterback. I don't feel like he was bad. I mean, let's look at what he did fantasy wise. 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful. I mean, did better than Geno. I guess that's not saying much, right? Geno wasn't good this year either. Who is Devontae Walker here? Let's go back to our team. I don't know why I just switched over to his team. But let's see, man. We had Marvin Mims, Juwan Johnson, Elijah Moore, Damian Pierce, Devontae Walker, Marshawn Lloyd, Jatavian Sanders. We are 5 picks away. I'll be looking for another quarterback. Chigakonkwo off the board. We still got some good handcuff running backs down here. A.J. Dillon types, Miles Sanders types. I think Alexander Madison is probably a handcuff at this point again. Yeah, man. And then it gets pretty grim down there after that. So yeah, man, we'll need to see what we can do here. I think if I can take another QB, that's probably what I'm doing. J.K. Dobbins off the board, Tucker Kraft off the board, Derek Carr off the board. Hopefully, I mean, we're going to get one of these last two guys, Geno, Russell Wilson. That's probably what we're doing here. And because we have Jackson Smith and Jigba, we have Zach Charbonnet, something tells me we should take that stack. But we'll see what happens here. He gets auto-picked, Curtis Samuel. I just feel like Russell Wilson is better than Geno. So I guess we'll go Russell Wilson. And we'll take that Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Drake May QB group, trying to get maybe one more down here like Aiden O'Connell. Maybe he wins the job and keeps playing. That could be something. Maybe a Minshew ends up getting a bridge job or something like that. Or maybe you just shoot an upside on like a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix. See if they have anything. Team's going to have to go in and get one of them in the first or second round. But yeah, Miles Sanders off the board. Let's look back at the overall group. Our next pick here is 8 picks away. We're going to be at 198. So we are looking at Kirk Cousins, Drake May, Russell Wilson at the quarterback positions, Tajay Spears, Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Zamir White, Antonio Gibson at the running back positions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith, Jackson Smith, and Jigba at the wide receiver position. And then we have Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer at the tight end position. So we have 11, 14, 15, 16 of our rounds finished. We have 4 more rounds left to go. Frank says Bryce Young could be interesting with Canales. I agree, man. I think Bryce Young is I think the Canales hire is really good for Bryce Young. He's somebody that I'm very interested in, especially late in drafts. We got kind of sniped on Bryce, but he's somebody that I am very excited about this late in drafts because you're going to get him in that tier with the Geno Smiths, the Russell Wilsons, and I just think he has more upside. Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Tyler Boyd, Roman Wilson, all off the board. We're a few picks away, and I think we want to go with getting a guy like A.J. Dillon would be nice. Being able to get like a Rashad Bateman would be pretty nice. A Malachi Corley, maybe a Jalen Hyatt. These are interesting picks. We did have the quarterbacks kind of all come off the board at this point. There isn't much left there either. Zeke Elliott comes off the board. We'll go A.J. Dillon. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're pretty good at our running back position. And we have some upside down here where if there was injuries or maybe Dillon signed somewhere in free agency or Gibson signed somewhere in free agency where they can get some starting reps or at least be in a role, that's ideal. It's definitely a RBBC approach, a shotgun approach at this 0 RB build here, but I like what we got. Quarterbacks, it's good enough that, we have a solid floor. We probably need to add another wide receiver or two here and probably need to add another tight end. So I think for the most part, we're good at the running back position. We don't really need to be looking at running back anymore. But we're up in a few picks. Man, my nose is so itchy right now. Trying not to like just be like all up in my nose with you guys on stream here, but damn, that shit is itchy, dude. But yeah, we got some more upside around here. I just think we got to keep adding to it, right? Like we're banking on this team with good good wide receiver play, banking on an injury or two for the running backs to hit, get some upside there, and then high floor for the quarterbacks. That should win us some games. And this is the last time that I'm going to hit you guys with it today, but I do want to thank our sponsors. So check out our sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy. They're doing this special for you guys over for the Super Bowl. I got something that'll tell you guys a little bit more about it right here. What's up, guys? Before we dive back into the action, let's take a moment to extend our gratitude to our fantastic sponsors over at Underdog Fantasy. Now listen up, because this Sunday's Super Bowl just got a whole lot more exciting. If you're itching to win some cash while enjoying the game, Underdog Fantasy has got you covered with an exclusive offer for new customers. Picture this, a 100% deposit match up to $100. Yes, you heard that right. They're practically doubling your money just for getting in on the action. But wait, there's more. Sign up now and you'll also snag a free square featuring none other than Patrick Mahomes, needing just 1 total yard. So it's a no-brainer. Signing up is a breeze. Simply use code League FFB or click the Underdog Fantasy sign-up link in the description to claim your free Patrick Mahomes Pick'em Square and unlock that sweet 100% deposit match. Now here's the best part. Underdog Fantasy is available nationwide, so as long as you reside in one of the yellow states, you're good to go. So what are you waiting for? Seize this opportunity to score big with Underdog Fantasy. Remember to use code LeagueFFB when you sign up, and let's get back into the video. So, like I said, guys, go check out our sponsors over at Underdog. They are hooking you up. Hopefully, if you guys are watching the Super Bowl, you want to try and win some money, you can use that code LeagueFFB, get a free square, get a better chance at getting yourself a payday on the Super Bowl as well. But I do want to talk about Frank. He says Malachi Corley going to be a beast. Yeah, man, I like him a lot too. He's somebody I'm very interested in. But A.J. Dillon was our last pick. After A.J. Dillon, we had Trey Palmer, Alexander Madison, Tyler Conklin, Jalen Hyatt, Malachi Corley. He came off the board. Jermaine Burton, Jacob Cowing, Kenneth Gainwell, Noah Gray, Rashad Bateman, A.T. Perry, Rico Dowdle. And then we selected Noah Fant as our tight end 3. Gerald Everett was off the board after that, then Noah Brown. So we have now 2 more picks, I think, in this draft. 2 more picks in this draft. Probably need to go wide receiver on both of them. Take some upside here at the wide receiver position. But maybe even we don't take wide receiver. Maybe 1 wide receiver and a running back or something like that. Or a tight end at least. But a couple guys, when we look at the wide receivers that have some upside, Mooney's a free agent. He could probably land somewhere where he could get a job. Alec Pierce can be a deep threat without Anthony Richardson there, so maybe he scores some touchdowns. Guys like I said, KJ Osborne, who are going to have weeks where he's relevant at times. Dude, Michael Thomas down here just feels like he doesn't play football, man. Michael Thomas never plays football, but I feel like the games that he played this year, he had some games where he was balling out. Like he had a couple wide receiver, was it 1 or 2 wide receiver 2 finishes or higher this year? I can't remember. Season seems like it was so long ago, at least fantasy football season, but just feels like a good value down here with Michael Thomas. So those are a couple guys that we're looking at. I think right now, the one that I want the most is probably, what did Mooney do this year? 63 fantasy points, 79 for Pierce, 96 for Osborne. Yeah, man, we'll take 1 or 2 of these guys, probably 2 of them. I think Mooney and Osborne or Pierce. If I could get 2 of any of these guys, that's probably where I'm at. Let's see what we got. I'll take Mooney. He's a free agent. Hopefully he goes somewhere nice. And then we're 12 picks away. That should be our last pick, which it does look like it. So we'll go Pierce, Osborne, Thomas. Let's just scroll through this. Kendrick Bourne, maybe. He had a good stretch before he got hurt. Not much more down here that I am interested in. After that, at tight end, we could maybe go a Brevin, a Dolchich. I think both of those guys are interesting. We could also look at the running backs. Chris Rodriguez is interesting if Antonio Gibson leaves in free agency. I really like Cody Schrader, but I just can't imagine he lands anywhere that's going to be like super relevant. Michael Carter's interesting if there's an injury to a guy like James Conner, assuming they don't address it in the draft. There's a couple guys, man. And then the quarterback position, like if you wanted to take a Michael Penix, a Bo Nix, like that's some upside shots down here too, probably. I just don't know if we need it. So I'll ask you guys in the chat, which direction do we want to lean in our last one? We have the wide receivers with Alec Pierce, KJ Osborne, Michael Thomas, Kendrick Bourne. We have the tight ends with Brevin Jordan, Greg Dulcich. And we have the quarterbacks with Bo Nix now that Michael Penix came off the board. So probably leaning the wide receivers. Do you guys agree? Do you think we should take an upside shot on Michael Thomas this low, or is Michael Thomas washed, man? I guess the other ones in comparison would be the KJ Osbornes, the Alec Pierces. We're 5 picks away. Since our Mooney pick, we had Brendan Rice, DJ Shark, Chris Rodriguez, Frank Gore Jr., Michael Penix Jr., Jamari Thrash, Donald Parham Jr., and just waiting on this thing to finish up. Once we get our last pick in, I'll recap this draft, kind of show you guys what we did, where we went, and we'll get on out of here. Everybody can enjoy their Wednesday evenings. But I appreciate all of you guys kind of watching this and hanging out with me tonight. It means a lot. Brevin Jordan off the board. Xavier Hutchinson off the board. So it does look like we're going to get kind of our shot here at one of these guys. I think I'm going to go Michael Thomas. I think his upside is just too high. Him or KJ Osborne. Osborne gives us the stack with Kirk Cousins, which could be ideal. Kenny Pickett off the board. That's interesting. Desmond Ridder. Yeah, we're going to get our choice here. Darius Slayton off the board. We're just going to shoot upside. It's the last pick. We'll take Michael Thomas, man. 39 catches last year, 10 games. Had some stretches there. It's probably not going to matter much, but we'll take the upside at this deep in the draft. And let's look at what the overall was. I'll make this full screen so you guys can see that. And let me get this out of the way. So overall, our draft is right here in the middle. You guys see it on the screen, the purple dog. We started with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Devontae Smith, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Dalton Kincaid, Tajay Spears, Javonte Williams, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Zamir White, Kirk Cousins, Michael Mayer, Drake May, Antonio Gibson, Russell Dillon, Noah Fant, Darnell Mooney, and Michael Thomas. Feel free to pause that at any point if you guys want to look at the full draft board to see what some of the other teams did. But overall, that is what we did for our draft. Let's see how we pan out against some of these other teams, because it does show us, once these two guys make their picks, where we rank as far as projections. And projections really don't mean much right now at this point in the season, but it'll show us where we rank. So if we click this, you'll see our team. 2,977. I guess it's not going to show us. We'll make this. What is today's date? 2/7/24. Save that. And then, yeah, man, that's our team. So if you guys did enjoy the content, would appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button. If you've been hanging out with us tonight, I would appreciate you guys to at least do me the favor of hitting that like button. It does show this channel a lot of support. It helps us out a long way. I know hitting that little button doesn't feel like it does much. It's just a little act of kindness, but it really does help our channel out. So make sure you hit that like button for us and help us continue growing. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Lots of Dynasty Fantasy Football content coming soon. But if you do like best ball drafts, you like watching best ball drafts on Underdog, or you just want to use our code and get some free money when you sign up, go ahead and do that. We do that content over here on the channel. So at the end of the day, man, appreciate all of you. I don't have anything else for you guys today. So we will be getting on out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your nights. I'll see you on our next one. Until then, peace out.